Most passengers believe cruise prices rise when demand increases. But in 2026, the real secret isn't about demand, it's about timing. Behind every great fare you've ever seen sits a booking window that only insiders truly understand. Cruise lines may call it dynamic pricing, but what it really is a silent game of timing, data, and patience. And if you know how that game works, you can lock the cheapest cabins before the public even knows they exist. Here's what the industry won't say out loud. Every major cruise line operates with a floating price algorithm. Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC, Norwegian, and Celebrity all adjust their fares thousands of times a week. Not based purely on demand, but on patterns, search volume, competitor announcements, even credit card data that reveals how many people are browsing travel sites that week. It's a living system that feeds on curiosity. The more people look, the higher prices go, even if no one books. So the trick isn't to chase discounts, it's to strike before curiosity spikes. In 2026, cruise lines began quietly experimenting with early access pricing, the kind usually reserved for travel agents and corporate partners. But here's the secret. Those same deals are now accessible to the public, if you know where to look. About 18 to 24 months before a new itinerary launches, a short, soft window opens. For less than 2 weeks, fares sit at their absolute base rate, untouched by algorithms or promotions. The company calls it data seeding. They want to record the first few hundred bookings to set an internal benchmark. Once those cabins are claimed, every remaining fare is adjusted upward, sometimes within hours. That's why travel agents seem to always get the best cabins at impossible prices. It's not favoritism, it's access. They know when those windows open. For Royal Caribbean, it's usually 18 months out. Carnival? Roughly 15. MSC opens earliest, often 24 months before sailing, while Norwegian and Celebrity trail behind by a few weeks. These small timing differences are gold for anyone paying attention. By the time the email blast hits your inbox, the real bargains are gone. But there's one more layer the public doesn't realize. Cruise lines test prices quietly on smaller regional sites before launching worldwide. For a few hours or days, select markets see base fares before the rest of the world. If you happen to check during that period, you might see a balcony room for the price of an inside cabin. It's not a glitch, it's a calibration test. The fares vanish quickly, but if you capture them, even with a refundable deposit, you've beaten the system. So how do you actually spot that moment? It starts with knowing what the system looks for. Because in 2026, cruise booking isn't random, it's algorithmic theater, and the curtain is only open for those who know when to look. To understand how to win this game, you have to think like the algorithm. Every cruise line collects years of data on passenger habits, when people browse, when they book, and how long they wait before paying their deposit. By 2026, they've turned that information into behavior models that adjust pricing hour by hour. The system knows that most travelers start casually searching between Tuesday evening and Thursday afternoon. So, that's when fares quietly tick up. On Sunday and Monday nights, however, the system sleeps. Search traffic drops, and the algorithm recalibrates to its baseline. That's the hidden window you're supposed to miss. The moment when prices return to their true starting point before the next week's adjustments kick in. The irony is that cruise lines don't lower prices to attract more passengers. They do it to train the system. If a ship sells too slowly during those baseline periods, the AI assumes the fare is too high and drops it again for a few hours, only to raise it later when activity resumes. Most passengers never notice these dips. because they're temporary. But for those who do, it's like catching lightning in a bottle. You book when everyone else is asleep, and suddenly you're holding a fare hundreds lower than your neighbors. Royal Caribbean's platform, for example, now ties in with predictive models that analyze search intent from travel portals. If fewer people are browsing Alaska cruises in May, prices quietly fall on Caribbean itineraries that same week. Carnival's pricing teams focus more on regional demand. If Texas departures slow down, fares drop for all Gulf-based sailings, even if Florida routes are filling fast. MSC uses what they call micro-fare pulses, small, 4-hour adjustments that respond to competitors' discounts in real time. Norwegian and Celebrity combine these ideas, using cross-market logic to balance out supply without ever announcing a sale. It's a constant chess match played beneath the surface, and passengers are the pawns, unless they learn to watch the board. So, how do you turn this knowledge into an advantage? By treating cruise prices like stock prices. Track them weekly, not daily. Most websites and apps that claim to monitor fare drops only scan once every 24 hours, which means you'll miss those hidden lows that appear for just a few hours. Instead, check manually late Sunday night or early Monday morning. That's when most systems reset and publish new data before traffic spikes. If you're ready, you'll catch the lull before the climb. Once you do, book immediately, even if you're unsure. Most cruise lines offer refundable deposits or 24-hour cancellation policies. That's your safety net. You're not gambling your money. You're freezing the algorithm in your favor. Because once the system records your booking, it raises prices for everyone else. Your single reservation becomes the data point that tells the AI demand is rising. And the curtain closes. But here's where the 2026 booking game takes a sharper turn. Because it's no longer just about when you book, but how you look online before you do. The algorithms that power cruise pricing now track your digital footprint. They know when you've checked the same itinerary twice, when you've compared cabins, and when you've visited a competitor's site. The moment you start showing purchase intent, the fare begins to shift. It's subtle. A $10 increase here, $20 there. But within 48 hours, that inside cabin you were watching suddenly costs $80 more. You didn't imagine it. The system saw you coming. That's why the smartest travelers now book in disguise. They clear cookies, use private browsing, or even check fares from different devices. Some go further, using a VPN to simulate browsing from a different country. Because here's the hidden trick. Many cruise lines still offer region-based pricing. The same cabin could cost hundreds less in a market where demand is lower, even though the sailing is identical. It's not illegal or unsafe. It's just geography. The system adjusts to local economies and search trends, and those adjustments aren't synchronized. If you catch the lag before it normalizes, you win. In 2026, this shadow window appears most often 9 to 14 days after new itineraries are released. That's when pricing algorithms are still stabilizing across global markets. A U.S. passenger might see a balcony cabin at $1,299, while someone checking from Canada or the UK sees $1,099 for the same room. Cruise lines call it regional harmonization. You can call it opportunity. All you have to do is check fares from alternate markets using international versions of official cruise websites, and you'll sometimes unlock the pre-synchronization price. But even after you've booked, the system keeps watching. Every cancellation, cabin upgrade, or unsold room feeds back into the pricing engine. When too many passengers cancel within a single week, which often happens right after payment deadlines, prices quietly fall again. That's the secondary drop window. It usually lasts less than 24 hours. If you're tracking the ship, that's your second chance to rebook the same cabin at the lower fare. Some travelers even call the cruise line directly and ask to reprice. It works more often than you'd think, because agents can see live adjustments the public can't. By understanding these micro-movements, you stop being a passenger and start becoming part of the system. You're no longer reacting to sales, you're anticipating them. And when you combine that awareness with one more strategy, the waitlist reset, you'll have cracked the deepest level of the 2026 booking hack, the one that almost no one outside the industry even knows exists. The waitlist reset is one of the cruise industry's quietest secrets. Every time a passenger cancels a booking before the final payment deadline, that cabin doesn't just return to inventory, it resets the price algorithm. If cancellations hit above a certain threshold, usually 3 to 5% of the sailing, the system lowers fares for a few hours to refill the ship. That's why travel agents often seem to magically find better prices 2 or 3 months before departure. They're not guessing, they're watching the cancellation cycles. Cruise lines never announce them, but they happen like clockwork. Here's how you find them yourself. Start tracking the ship you want around 95 to 80 days before departure. That's the most common final payment window. Watch for small fare changes, even just $10 to $20. When those micro drops appear, you're entering a reset phase. That's when the system clears out canceled cabins and tests new price floors. Within 24 hours, you might see full categories, balconies, ocean views, even suites, temporarily dip below anything seen in months. These resets usually happen midweek, when fewer agents are active. If you act fast, you'll grab the lowest public rate the algorithm allows before it climbs again. But here's the twist. 2026 systems are now designed to respond to how passengers react to those resets. If too many people pounce immediately, the AI reverses the drop faster, reading it as proof of strong demand. So don't broadcast it online, don't share screenshots, and don't wait to see if the price drops more. Quiet travelers win. Loud ones trigger the alarm. It's a strange, modern version of poker with the house, and every move is watched. Then there's the newest advantage of all, the cross-itinerary gap. Cruise lines use similar pricing engines across multiple ships. When one itinerary sells too quickly, the system compensates by lowering fares on a similar route elsewhere. It happens in the background, linking sister ships or ports with shared logistics. You can sometimes predict this by looking for matching sail dates. When a Mediterranean voyage sells out faster than expected, Caribbean prices often dip days later. It's the algorithm shifting balance. And if you spot the pattern, you'll catch the price before the masses do. All of this adds up to a single truth. In 2026, booking a cruise isn't about luck, it's about literacy. You're not fighting people, you're learning patterns. The cheapest fares aren't hidden by humans, they're buried in code. But once you understand the rhythm, you'll start to see the waves before they break. The Sunday resets, the region gaps, the waitlist dips. Each one is a whisper from the system inviting you to act. Most people scroll past. The smart ones sail cheaper. So the next time you see a cabin that feels too good to be true, don't hesitate. You've likely caught the algorithm sleeping, and that's the rarest moment of all. You've been watching Cruise Threads, where the real stories sail below deck. Subscribe, because the next secret is already on the horizon.